I cannot share my screen because I do not have the presentation on
Just
my
send me
PC
the
at the
project and
moment.
I'll
Yeah,
share it from my
I
side.
have it sent. I have it sent.
Okay, that's great. So Walid, are you gonna share your screen or shall I share mine?
Yes, I will share my
Okay,
screen. All right, do you see the project?
loading.
Yeah, right now I can see it.
Hello?
For me, it is still loading. Black screen. So yeah, the Roman Empire. Now we can see it.
Okay, the Roman Empire by me, 93, blah blah blah. The Roman architecture. Roman architecture was unlike anything that had come before. The Persians, Egyptians, Greeks, and Etruscans all had monumental architecture. The grandeur of their buildings, though, was largely external. Buildings were designed to be impressive when viewed from the outside, because their architects all had to rely on building in a post and lintel system, which means that they used two upright posts, like columns, with a horizontal block, known as a lintel, laid flat across the top. A good example is the ancient Greek temple in Paestum, Italy. Since lintels are heavy, the interior spaces of buildings could only be limited in size. Much of the interior space had to be devoted to supporting heavy loads. I'm sorry, my parrot is spazzing out.
No problem.
Roman architecture differed fundamentally from this tradition because of the discovery, expert, uh, ex- experimentation, and exploitation of concrete. Arcs and vaulting, a good example of this, is in the Pantheon, c. 125 CE. Thanks to these innovations from the first century CE, Romans were able to create interior spaces that had previously been unheard of. Romans became increasingly concerned with shaping interior space rather than filling it with structural supports. As a result, the inside of Roman buildings were as impressive as their exteriors. Roman government. In the Republic period, people were divided into different classes. There were the patricians, the plebeians, and slaves. Patricians were wealthy citizens of Rome. They usually lived in grand houses and had slaves to do their work for them. Because they were citizens of Rome, they could go to the assembly to vote. Plebeians were not wealthy, but they were citizens of Rome. They were usually craftsmen or tradesmen, and they worked for a living. Because they were citizens of Rome, they could go to the assembly to vote. Slaves had no money, no rights, no freedom, and were not citizens of Rome. Because they were not citizens of Rome, they were not allowed to go to the assembly to vote. Patricians and plebeians met in the assembly and voted for consuls, tribunes, and magistrates. Women and slaves were not allowed in the assembly and could not vote. The Roman government, consuls. The citizens of Rome voted for two consuls. They were elected to serve for 1 year. They served in like a senate, so they were chairmen of the senate. It was the consul's job to govern Rome. They had to both agree on all decisions. After they had served their year, they were replaced. They were not allowed to be consuls again for 10 years. Magistrates, the citizens of Rome voted for several magistrates. It was a magistrate's job to keep law and order and to manage Rome's financial affairs. When magistrates retired, they became senators and attended the Senate. Tribunes, the citizens of Rome voted for tribunes. It was the tribune's job to make sure that the people were treated fairly. The Senate. Senators went to the Senate to discuss important government issues. Senators were retired magistrates and knew a lot about the government of Rome. It was the job of the Senate to give advice to the two consuls. when Rome had an emperor, the Senate still gave advice on governing Rome and the empire. That's the end of my presentation.
Well, that's a lot of information. That's very nice. I hope that you didn't copy all of them just from Wikipedia. But
Actually, I understood them and read them all.
oh, that's
present.
exactly the purpose of doing so.
Teacher, I have to present.
I can.
Yeah, the Rob first.
I think me.
It was me. I came after Walid, and he came.
Abdurrahman came after me actually.
So Abdurrahman first.
Okay.
You have a witness,
I
unfortunately.
think that's Cup.
Yeah, we have a witness.
Yes.
I mean, the teacher is also a witness. If he enters chat, he could see that Abdurrahman entered before.
Well,
Yeah, but I entered before all of you. But there was
I
no.
mean,
You see,
but
Actually,
didn't you
yeah.
agree on? Didn't you agree on me?
See,
presenting
yeah,
then
the Ribdi
Abdurrahman?
than me. Ah. Well,
Oh, okay.
no, but
Then
yeah.
then Iyad
that's-
goes. Iyad goes before
No
Abdurrahman.
problem. So
Oh,
Abdurrahman shared, so no problem. You can start, Abdurrahman.
Wait, teacher, I
Yeah.
present after Iyad.
Yeah, after Iyad Ibrahim, no problem.
just you see the
Yeah, the Greek philosophers and their contribution.
Greek philosophers and their contribution. Empedocles, 490 to 330 BC. Empedocles devised the theory that all substances are made of four pure indestructible elements: air, fire, water, and earth. In one sense, it is admirable that Empedocles tried to simplify our complex world into basic elements. Democritus, 460 BC to 370 BC. Democritus was a central figure in the development of the atomic theory of the universe. He theorized that all material bodies are made up of indivisibly small atoms. Aristotle famously rejected atomism in on generation and corruption. Heraclitus, 535 to 475 BC. Heraclitus' philosophy focused on change is commonly called becoming, which can be contrasted. Heraclitus are commonly considered to be the two of the founders of ontology, and the issue is of the one and the many, and thus pivotal in the history of Western philosophy and metaphysics. Pythagoras, 570 to 495 BC. Pythagoras, whose teaching emphasized the immortality and transmission of the soul, which is the meaning of reincarnation. Virtuous, humane behavior toward all living things, and the concept of number as truth in that mathematics not only cleared the mind, but allowed for an objective comprehension of reality. Anaxagoras, 500 BC to 429 BC, for Christ. Anaxagoras' doctrine of the autonomous, infinite, powerful, and eternal mind, which is the purest of all things, the master of itself and the rule on everything, controlling all the elements and directing the physical interactions in the universe by the most proper way. Epicurus, 341 to 270 BC. Epicurus developed an unsparingly materialistic metaphysics, empiricist epistemology, and hedonistic ethics. Epicurus taught that the basic constituents of the world are atoms, uncuttable bits of matter, flying through empty space, and he tried to explain all natural phenomena in atomic terms. Thank you.
That's great, actually. I loved your presentation very much and the way that you included those imagination. I really don't know how to do that. Perhaps it's a new feature in 2017
I
Office,
have
but
a question though.
which is
Why, Abdurrahman, why would you put an animation of a brain turning in a presentation about architecture?
Don't ask me. It came in
Some
design. I put it in.
Brain
doing a
architecture.
project all day today. He has been asking me several questions about the project. Okay, thank you very much, Abdurrahman. I loved your presentation very much. It was very nice. Thank you very much.
Thank
So I believe that's Mr. Big Brain's turn.
Yes.
Are you gonna?
Yes, I will share mine.
Okay.
How do I share mine? Okay. Do you see
Hello.
it?
Yes. The Greek philosopher.
Yes. The Greek philosophers. إياد الربي تتعهنوا كده. Socrates. He was an Athenian stoneman and philosopher. Socrates did not write any books. Instead, he passed his days in the town square asking people about their beliefs, using a process called now Socratic method. He would pose a series of questions to a student and challenge them to examine the implications of their answer. For Socrates, this was a way to help seek the truth and self-knowledge. In his 70s, Socrates was put on trial. His enemies accused him of corrupting the youth and failing to respect the gods. Standing before a jury of 501 citizens, he was condemned to death by a cup of hemlock. Hemlock is deadly poison. Most of what we know about Socrates came from his student Plato. And this is the Socrates method. He would ask them a question, pick out the premises and re-examine them and find out if they are valid. If his premises have an exception or an example that proves your idea is not always true, then he needs to examine them. If no, then he found the truth. Plato. The execution of Socrates left Plato with lifelong distrust of democracy. He fled Athens for 10 years. When he returned, he set up a school called the Academy. There he taught and wrote about his own ideas. Like Socrates, Plato emphasized the importance of reason through rational thought. He argued people could never discover unchanging ethical values, recognize the perfect beauty, and learn how to be the best to organize society. He divided his ideal society into three classes: workers to produce, soldiers to defend the state, and philosophers to rule. The elite class of leaders would be trained to ensure order and justice. Plato thought that in general men were better in mental and physical tasks than women, but some women were superior to some men and that they should serve the state. Aristotle.
Great.
Plato's most famous student, Aristotle, developed his own ideas about government. He analyzed all forms of government from monarchy to democracy and found out good and bad examples of each. Like Plato, he was suspicious of democracy, which he thought could lead to mob rule. In the end, he favored rule by a single strong leader. He addressed the question why people ought to live. In his view, good conduct meant pursuing the golden mean, a moderate course between the extremes. He promoted reason as the guiding force for learning. He set up a school, the Lyceum, for study of all knowledge. He left his writings on politics, ethics, logic, biology. Later universities were influenced with his ideas and deep thinking. In conclusion, Socrates sought the truth and people saw him as corrupting the youth. Plato, he wanted a perfect society for his distrust with democracy after he saw Socrates get condemned to death. Aristotle influenced later generations with his writing and he was suspicious of democracy. The end.
Well, that's a great yet. Actually, I love the way that you use the information within your textbook in the presentation. That's great. But his name is Socrates, not Socrates.
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 Well,
Socrates.
Socrates, same.
Socrates. Great. Okay. Thank you very much, Iyad, for your presentation. Do not forget to send me your presentations, guys. I have to keep them with me as an evidence for you doing the project. Okay, I believe that's Brahim's time.
Tete, isn't this recording enough evidence?
I beg your pardon.
Is it like, are you recording this session?
recording the session. Yes, we are recording the session.
Yeah,
Yet you,
this is
Yeah.
enough evidence.
Is he
I
gonna
really,
look for the recording and come look where you send the presentation and
No
like
problem.
tell the wakil, oh look,
There
I
isn't
sent
many
it."
people who actually presented.
Dude, just send it.
Yeah, so
well, actually, I see your point, but I really don't want to answer this question.
Okay.
Okay, I don't want to be get fired now. I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, bro.
guys, we
Just
need to stop before we get so Ahmed fired, the best teacher in the school. So
thank you very
calm
much.
down,
Yeah, we
guys.
cannot lose the best teacher on this world. What are we doing?
We already lost the Arabic teacher. Let's not lose
That's the
another one.
second best. Okay, we cannot lose the best.
Oh, I'm so sorry for that. Actually, I have contacted him, by the way, regarding your issue.
Yeah, well,
Has he responded though?
Well, he chose to leave you because
oh my god.
Oh,
no,
oh,
no,
come on, man. What did we do?
don't misunderstand him. He loved you so much. He loved teaching you and all of that. Yet, unfortunately, there was a lot of burden on him because he was teaching in both the national and the international sections. Consequently,
Oh,
so there was a lot of burden on him.
okay.
All right. So I believe your turn, Ibrahim. Are you gonna share your screen or shall I share
No.
mine?
You share your screen,
Okay.
please. Because I do not have the presentation on this PC.
Problema, sin problema. Jury.
I have sent it yesterday. I think.
That's how they write your name, right? Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The Greek philosophers by Ibrahim Mu'taz for Ahmed al-Wakil.
Ah,
Okay. Pythagoras, one of the most famous and controversial ancient Greek philosophers, lived from 570 to 490 BCE, which BCE means before the Common Era. He spent his early years on the island of Samos, off the coast of modern Turkey. At the age of 40, however, he emigrated to the city of Corton in southern Italy, and most of his studies and everything that he done was there in Italy. Pythagoras wrote nothing, nowhere there any detailed accounts of his thought written by contemporaries. By the first centuries BCE, moreover, it became fashionable to present Pythagoras in largely unhistorical fashion as a semi-divine figure who originated all that was true in the Greek philosophical tradition, including many of Plato's and Aristotle's major ideas. A number of treasures were forged in the name of Pythagoras and other Pythagoras in order to support his view. So, and this is where the photo on the right is where he was, and the photo on the left is where he immigrated to. He went from Samos to southern Italy. As you can see, it's near to Turkey. It's by the coast. Socrates, born 470 BCE, he was in Athens. Died 399 BCE. He also died in Athens. He did not immigrate like our previous philosopher. Pythagoras, ancient Greek philosophers whose way of life, character, and thought exerted a profound influence on Western philosophers. Socrates was an ancient Greek philosopher, one of the three greatest figures of the ancient period of Western philosophy. The other three were Plato and Aristotle, who lived in Athens in the 5th century before the Common Era. A legendary figure, even in his own time, he was admired by his followers for his integrity, his self mastery, his profound philosophical insight, and his great argumentative skill. He was the first Greek philosopher to seriously explore question of ethics. So he was basically loved by his followers. One of his achievements was being the one of the best Western philosophers, and he was good at argumentative skill. So he can debate a lot of people and change their point of view.
Nice. In order to present them the truth, of course, from their own point of view, through his way, which was called later after him, the Socratic method.
The Greek literature has influenced not only its Roman neighbors to the west, but also countless generations across the European continent. Greek writers are responsible for the introduction of such genres as poetry, tragedy, comedy, and Western philosophy to the world. The Greeks were a passionate people, and the zeal can be seen in their literature. They had a rich history of both war and peace, leaving an indelible imprint on the culture and people. Author and historian Edith Hamilton believed that the spirit of life abounds throughout Greek history. We have actually took this the poems, the Iliad and the Odyssey, we talked about the war.
Yes.
They are amazing poets.
Written by Homer, Iliad, and others.
That's it.
Basically, that's very good. So, speaking about Pythagoras and authors of Greece and the literature and come, that's great, Ibrahim. Thank you very much for that, Ibrahim. Okay. What about the rest? We still have Ahmed Shahri, Fahd, Hussam, Muhammad Al-Amri, Muhammad Al-Qahtani, Mu'taz, Nahar, Naif, Rakan, Ryan, Saad, and Yazan. Where are you? Rakan, where is your project? Can you please stop fighting in the chat until we find out why the rest of the class didn't do their project?
I agree. I mean, isn't it usual though, or typical for no one, or like more than half the class, not to present projects?
Well, actually, that's stupidity because they just.
Yeah, it's a stupid thing, but it's just typical of
You have
our class
10 minutes
and most
of your
classes.
time to get 7 marks, and yet. All right. Well, what shall we say? No, that's not free time. So, regarding to tomorrow's quiz,
Fahad sent you his project,
yeah, but he didn't present. That's 4 marks.
so he has to present to get the full 7 marks.
Yes,
What if he doesn't have a mic?
his problem. He can use his phone, and I can present from my laptop. Okay, so once again, let's go back here. Next week is week number 5 or 6?
Week number 6.
Number 6.
So we are in week 5, 9 and 3. Your quiz tomorrow from 131 until 147.
We had just give us the questions. No need answers, just the questions.
Grade 9 book from 131, that's the Greek city-states. So, a quick revision about the Greek city-states. Before we start the revision, do you need any specific question, anything that you did not understand in the city-states of the early Greek civilization?
Only question, teacher.
Only questions. Okay.
The Delian League, who is the state inside them?
Okay, we have two leagues that arose in that era. The first league was called the Delian League. The second league was called the Peloponnesian League. Regarding to the Delian League, we will have in it the city-state of Athens. It was the head state of it. So it was led by Athens, Sparta, Thebes, and most of the city-states in Greek. Okay, or in the Greek civilization or in Greece. All right, but unfortunately, later Athens itself started to take advantage and control of the Delian League. They have moved the treasury from Delos Island into Athens. They have started to make all of the things they need to repair their land, their to control other lands, and to start to make that's it. And to start to make their own empire. Consequently, most of the city-states who entered the Delian League at first, they went out of it. So they did not continue. Specifically, Sparta. Later, because Sparta, they were strong and they thought that the Athenians right now are using their powers against other city-states. And at one point, they will interfere in the Spartan affairs. Consequently, they started to make another league, which was the Peloponnesian League, and they got into a war. Peloponnesian League, headed by Sparta and its allies, and against the Delian League, headed by Athens and its allies. And of course, consequently, the Peloponnesian League defeated the Delian one. Okay.
Wait, who defeated who?
One.
The Peloponnesian League, Sparta.
Sparta defeated the
Athens.
Okay.
Okay, to make it closer, okay, we in 9-3 right now, we will make a league. Okay, I will head this league. So I'm the chairman of that league. All right, but after doing so, I'm gonna kill you, Iyad Yusuf. Okay, concentrate. So right now we are making a league. Okay, I'm the head of that league. The terms of that league, all of us shall defend ourselves. Okay, if any enemy came to attack Iyad or Yusuf or Salim or either me, all of us shall gather together and start defending ourselves. Okay, but as a head of that league, I'm gonna use the money that we collect in order to defend ourselves and build my own house. So, would you feel okay with that? So all of us right now are paying money for our league, but as a head of that league, I'm the head of that league. I'll take all of the money and start building my own house.
That's
this is the
a
Athens
damn.
League. No, they don't like. That's why they leave.
So that's
Athens is no state.
right.
Yeah.
So what will you do?
That's
You will counter me. You will stop in my
Kill
face.
him.
What are you doing wrong, right?
I will stop giving you money because
You
that's
will
just a
stop
waste
giving
for
me
me.
money.
And
Okay, but if right now I have the power to fail you in the exam,
yeah,
so some of you will still give me power, give me money, right?
okay.
Because you are afraid. At the same thing, in the Delian League, Athens had the power. Athens was strong. Consequently, some, not all, only some of the city-states continued to give it money. But other city-states, strong ones, they refused to continue giving it money, like Sparta and Thebes. And they even made an alliance, and that alliance led to the Peloponnesian League. So some of you right now did not like me taking money, and you went out and you made a league for yourselves. And we got into a battle between both of us. My league and your league. And you won. Got the idea?
Yeah.
So Delian League, all the Greek city-states. Athens started to just misbehave and steal money, okay, and expand its power and to rebuild its city apart from other city-states. Consequently, some of the city-states who entered the Daniel League, they stopped being in the Daniel League. They got out and they made another league, which was the Peloponnesian League. And later they got into a fight, and the Peloponnesian League, headed by Sparta, defeated the Delian League, headed by Athens.
Wait, wait, 1 second. There's the Delian League and what league?
Peloponnesian League.
And who are the Population Leagues?
Yes.
Like,
The
what are
Peloponnesian
the...
League was headed by Sparta.
Okay.
And Sparta, with the other city-states in the Peloponnesian League, defeated Athens along with other city-states in the Delian League. Okay. For myself, okay, now we are 9-3. Okay, I'll make a league and call it Mr. Ahmed.
I get everything, but I do not understand who are in the Delian League and who are in the other league.
Peloponnesian League.
Yeah,
Okay,
Peloponnesian League.
once again. Now we are 9-3. Okay, we have Iyad. Okay, Mr. Ahmed, Iyad, Fahd, Hussam, Ibrahim. Okay, Nawaf, Rakan, Rayan, Salim, Walid, and Yusuf. So after the Persian War, okay, we started to make a league, and we called that league Mr. Ahmed's League. Okay, and all of you are in that league. After I started to misbehave, Yusuf, Walid, Salim, Rakan, Rayan, and Nawaf, they got out of the league. Okay, and they made a league for themselves, and they call it, for example, Yusuf's League.
Okay, I get what happened, but I do not get who left. Like, I do not get who the people who...
No, some of the cities, the most important one of them was Sparta.
I just need to know that Sparta left the Delian League and created its
Sparta
own
left
league.
and started to construct the Peloponnesian League.
Yeah, and then after they made these leagues, Sparta defeated the Athens in there.
Yes.
Okay.
In the Peloponnesian War. Any other question?
I don't understand the decline of Greek dominion. I don't like the end.
Well, did you see what we have been speaking about?
Yeah.
Well, what was it?
The war and how Sparta.
Exactly. So just put this in your mind. Athens was a very, very strong and very economical, very governmental, strong city-state. Okay, but one factor led to the decline. One factor led to the decline. This factor was corruption. This factor was what?
Corruption of the...
Wait, corruption from what?
Corruption from the Athenian people themselves.
Yeah.
So they became greedy. I need to get power so that I can have money. At the beginning, at first, Solon, for example, the reformer, Solon, okay, we call him the father of governmental law giving. Okay, he was very skillful. He started to making some good government for the people, starting to change from autocracy into democracy and the oligarchy later, and he started to give the people their power, and you can rule your city-state. But later, after they were standing for the city-state, so I want power in the government, for example, to help my city. But later, because of corruption, people started to seek power so that they can obtain money. Once again, they started to seek power for money. Remember when we studied Alexander the Great and his father, King Philip II?
Yeah.
We said that King Philip, he invaded the Greek city-states by many means, including one of them was the priorly, giving money for the people so that they can hand him the city or their land. And at that time, he did this with the Athenian people because they just sought power for money. At the beginning, at the age of Solon and the most important Greek philosophers and also leaders, they just sought power in order to help the city-state of Athens. So that we are the Athenian people, we are strong, we have, and starting to just be compared to other city-states like Sparta. Yet later, because of that corruption, they started just, I need money. So they started to sell the land. So they first failed in Delian League. They uh, were defeated in the Peloponnesian War. And after that, once Philip II came, they just handed him the country because they bought it. They sold it, sorry. Okay? So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the whole idea of decline. So, in another word, we can say Athens became an aging dynasty.
Okay.
What else? Come on. The Olympic Games are very important, by the way, because they gathered all the people from all city states together, and they were the only time
Yeah, I don't know.
war was prohibited. If there even a war, it must stop until the Olympic Games are to be finished. So it's very important. The Greeks war.
Olympic Games
Is
were
gonna be hard.
No.
That's what you said last time.
And
Wait,
last time,
teacher, is there any
What
one,
now,
like
teacher?
any
What's
city
the
state that
question?
wasn't included in the Olympic Games?
what was included?
Was there any city state that was not like participated in the Olympic Games?
Well, imagine the Olympic Games as an honor. So why do the Athenian people, the Spartan people, the Thebes people, all of the people in the early Greek city-state wanted to have power, wanted to have government, democracy, and all of this, in order to show up in front of other city-states. So we, as Athenians, we have the best democracy in the world, the most important philosophers in the world, mathematicians, physicians, and etc. So they just want to show up in front of other city-states. The Olympic Games, they gather all of these city states. So once Ibrahim from Athens wins, so he's representing Athens. Once Ahmed from Sparta wins, so he's representing Sparta. Consequently, all of the city states shared in the Olympic Games so that they can represent their city states and also to bring honor to their city state.
Okay, okay, I get it. Thanks.
Okay. And of course, the Greek view of foreigners, something like racism, they saw the other people as barbarians. And for the coincidence, they thought of the Phoenicians and also Egyptians as barbarians, though they took their own culture from both Egyptian and Phoenicians and Mesopotamian, of course. So it was some kind of racism. And even inside the Greek city states, they felt racism inside themselves. Athenian people felt superior to Spartan, and Spartan felt superior to Athenians, and blah, blah, blah. So they view the foreigners as barbarian. And regarding the war with Persia, of course, the thing that triggered the war with Persia was when Athens sent its fleet to help Ionia in its battle against the Persian. By that, Darius I became furious and he felt insulted that Athens sent its fleet to help Ionia, and consequently he started marching toward this Athens. But unfortunately, he was defeated. Later, his son Xerxes himself took control of 1 million Persian soldiers, and they headed toward this all of the Greek city-states in order to invade them. But likely they all gathered their powers and made an alliance, and they stopped in his face and could defeat him. Any questions so far?
Yeah, what was the last point? Can you repeat that, please?
All right. So after Darius the First started to invade Asia Minor, he went to a city called Ionia. Okay,
Yeah. Okay.
in
Okay.
Ionia, There, the Athenian people, they sent to them some fleet, some ships, in order to help them defeating the Persian. Darius the First felt insulted that, for example, I'm hitting Nawaf right now, and you, Ibrahim, you intervened, okay, in order to stop me from hitting Nawaf. So
Yeah.
I feel, so why are you standing by? I'm hitting him. Why are you standing between us? I'll hit you too. Okay, so
Okay.
that was Darius' thought of. So he went to he sent some of his troops to the city-state of Athens in order to invade it. But likely the Athenian people they won in the war. Of course, it was the first time for the Persian to lose a war. So Darius' son Xerxes, okay, he had gathered all of the troops of the Persian people. He took 1 million soldiers and he marched towards all of the city-states of Greek, not only Athens.
Okay.
Okay, but likely all of the Greek city-states made an alliance and stopped in the face of the Persian Empire, and they defeated them. And later, Alexander himself will go and invade their lands.
Okay.
All right,
Thank you.
grade 9, you are very welcome. Hope you enjoyed that session, and see you tomorrow.